Putin wants to wait out this political game. He wants to wait out people getting tired of helping Ukraine. But that and like President Zelensky in his visits recently is a loss for the world. Putin wins in Ukraine, Europe loses, the world loses, and the world has changed. It's already changed thus far, but Putin can't be allowed to hold what he has now and call it a win.
The US is reported to have approved the delivery of long-range tactical ballistic missiles to Ukraine. A public announcement has yet to be made, but NBC News in the US says President Biden has guaranteed to President Zelensky that the weapons will be delivered. The Ukrainian president flew to Canada yesterday as he tries to shore up support from Western nations. John Spencer is a retired US Army officer and chair of urban warfare studies at West Point, the American military academy.
Of course, war is politics, and each country of the 50 plus nations that are supporting Ukraine in its defense and its goal to achieve victory, and really to reword that to not allow Putin to win. The world can't allow Putin to win. Every country right now has their domestic issues, and it's an election year for many nations, to include, Poland, the United States. I think it's normal to think that it would be dwindling, but that doesn't mean that there's a time clock on this. Ukraine has done amazing things with resources it's already been given, and I think it will continue to receive those resources despite the ups and downs of politics.
Do you think that there is any validity in some of the US senators, and indeed the House, the 29 Republicans, in their sort of questions as to where the money of US taxpayers has actually gone? What have been the results of the spending by the US to support Ukraine?
Well, I mean, there's always validity for each senator who represents a constituents to justify what's been accomplished, what's been purchased, that money has gone to. But I mean, I go in and out of Ukraine every 3-4 months. I can show anybody this is what it's done. These are the thousands of people it's saved. These are the pointable or definable military objectives that have been achieved. What Ukraine has done through the phases of this war, because it's been through many phases, are really easy to articulate, and it's a job of those senators to be able to articulate it. I mean, the thing that I hate is the idea of a blank check. Like, look, I wish Ukraine would have got a blank check in the beginning and could have bought some of the things it needed earlier on in the war, and it would have went through these phases a lot differently. But Ukraine has never been given a blank check. There's been very high accountability, very specific pieces of equipment, and a very deliberate process and delivery and accounting for most of that.
When does the support stop in a sort of projecting forward? Is there a definable moment for that where you can say, actually, this is the time where we don't need to offer any more either financial or explicitly military support?
I mean, I think there'll be a point where the levels of military support, right, the drawdowns of equipment, the direct purchase of high-end items, there'll be a point where once Russia has done the right thing in accordance with international law and withdrawn to the sovereign borders of Ukraine, there, of course, will be a lot less need for direct military aid, but the rebuilding of Ukraine will require also a global effort to recover from all the suffering that Putin and Russia has done to Ukraine, and on the global tax on the world that really, and the ripple effects from grain to petros to whatever it is because of Putin's imperialist goals.
I saw one commentator consider that the end of this war could be like Korea. They point to the fact that the US administration, indeed administrations around the world, are funding an expensive stalemate. What do you make of that analysis?
Yeah, I mean, as a professor of strategy and a student of war and looking at different case studies, you have to compare the two, and the backers, even the Korean War, in the situation, the capabilities of one, and what were the reasonable goals when you had a population in North Korea and backed by China versus what you have here, which is simply genocide. I don't see a stalemate. I just don't. We haven't seen a stalemate up to this point. I don't see one coming. Crimea is becoming increasingly untenable for Russia. Putin's domestic politics aren't as ironclad as everybody thought they were. I don't see, I don't see a stalemate or a big armistice and freezing of the lines where they're at now. Ukraine's not going to accept that. Of course, Putin wants to wait out this political game. He wants to wait out people getting tired of helping Ukraine. But that and like President Zelensky in his visits recently is a loss for the world. Putin wins in Ukraine, Europe loses, the world loses, and the world has changed. It's already changed thus far, but Putin can't be allowed to hold what he has now and call it a win.
That is John Spencer, who was in the US Army and is chair of urban warfare studies at West Point, the American Military Academy.